At least 65 people are dead and parts of Christchurch are in ruins after another powerful earthquake hit New Zealand. Tonight, an unknown number of residents are still trapped in collapsed buildings. It's the second powerful earthquake to hit the area in 5 months. Today's quake struck around lunchtime, 10 kilometres southeast of the CBD. It measured 6.3. Tremors were felt right across the South Island, and since then there have been numerous aftershocks. Carl Hur begins our coverage of the day that brought disaster to the heart of Christchurch. And a warning, his report contains some graphic images.
The earthquake hit with terrifying strength. Multi-storey buildings were flattened. Dazed onlookers flooded the streets. Soon came the realisation many people were trapped and frantic rescue efforts were underway. Survivors emerged, desperately anxious about those left behind. Rescuers pulled people from the burning CTV building as helicopters worked to put out a fire. One woman was on the 5th floor and rode down with the rubble as the quake hit.
I was buried under part of the ceiling, and when I looked out, I saw that we were on the road and people were looking at us.
In the city centre, people abseiled to safety when a building stairwell collapsed.
There's a bit of a drama knocking out the window and then abseiling staff down the side of the building. The stairwell's completely gone. 17 storeys with just both sets of stairs gone. So it's just a great gaping chasm.
On street after street, cars lay crushed beneath rubble. The CBD was evacuated and people headed for the sanctuary of nearby parks. The city's most famous landmark, the cathedral, stood up to last year's earthquake, but not this time.
2 or 3 people just fallen on me. Yeah, so.
To actually see the top of the cathedral come down I've never seen anything like it in my life. To actually see it topple in front of the cathedral, to see the dust and have people running out underneath that dust there's just no words, to be quite honest. It was absolutely awful.
People were inside and there were fears some didn't make it out. Already severely traumatised, the city was menaced by a series of powerful aftershocks.
When the aftershock came through, I was standing in a cafe across the road from TVNZ and just fell to the floor.
The roads that were still clear were quickly jammed.
Don't go out unless you have to go out anywhere. Keep the roads clear. They are our lifeline.
Melbourne doctor Marnie Bastow was in town for a conference and chipped in by gathering first aid equipment.
Everyone's been very helpful, giving medical supplies, everything that they've got so far.
Emergency services were stretched to the limit. The demand seemed endless. Essential infrastructure was affected, including roads, water, power and telecommunications. People were desperate for information about loved ones, but many couldn't get through.
We would ask that people use texting where possible and only make calls that are essential.
The damage wasn't just limited to the CBD. This was the scene in the beachside suburb of Sumner.
This giant rock's just fallen on the RSA building, and you can see it's crushed the building there.
I've just returned from the western suburbs where liquefaction is the main problem out there. There are major cracks right through a number of the roads.
I think we need to prepare ourselves in the city for a death toll that will be significant.
This earthquake wasn't as powerful as the one that hit in September last year, but it struck much closer to the city. And it wasn't overnight, but the middle of the day.
New Zealand may be staring down what is its darkest day as we take stock of a city that's been utterly wrecked by a massive earthquake.
But no one is giving up hope that more people will be found alive. Carl Hur, ABC News.